Hi everyone, good evening, this is arigold from the UK. I'm casting my first game. This game was actually a ladder game for the gamereplays.org 3 versus 3 ladder. This was a pretty decent game, that's why I decided to cast it. Not many that good games to cast lately, I found, so I just decided to cast this, why not? On GDI side, we have the killers, i.e. Pink, Buck and Walt. On Nod side, we have CnC, myself, and Complex. Let's see how this game turns out. Nod will be spawning as 2 offense crawlers going to the south obviously to get the blue tip, and 1 offense crawler going to the north to get the green and node 1, thereby ignoring the northern blue tip. We decided to go with this strategy because it will surely give us the southern blue tip, which is essential, and going for each of the blue tips as Nod would be just pretty much a gamble, wouldn't be very good. On GDI side, we have a support and a fence crawler going north. They will be taking the blue tib, as we don't go for that, just put the names on, and 1 support crawler going south to contest our blue tip, Nod's blue tip. Killerbook successfully blows this up. Poorly played on our side, to be honest. We really should have taken that. Anyway, capturing the uplink, very important. Although we lost the first blue tip, we should be able to get the second one. I mean, 1 support crawler against 2 offense crawlers will not stand much of a chance without his mates down here. Killers are going for node 4 and this little outpost here. I'm not sure about this, to be honest. These side things here should only be captured with like 1 or 2 units. Alright, that's what the killers are doing, but maybe even ignoring them isn't such a bad idea. I mean, they are pretty useless in a 3 against 3 game, I think. So, for example, I really disagree with Book's crawler placement here. It just cuts him off from his mates. You know, they should unite and just keep up the pressure on Nod. GDI is supposed to be played very aggressively. Nod's just supposed to sit tight, collect the blue tips, keep calm and carry on, so they say. Good, taking node 3. I would just probably send 1 or 2 units. The whole army is not really needed to capture a node, I think. Taking node 2 with a handful of engineers, fighting over node 1. A few air units. We can see a few air units, but no air counters. The only air counters are down here. They're coming up to clean up the job. Node 5 was meanwhile taken by the killers. Sorry, I do tend to suffer a bit of tunnel vision. It's pretty late here, to be honest. Anyway, bit of a pickle GDI got himself into. I really would have just took this crawler up here, respawned here, and just would have tried to steamroll Nod at node 1, maybe even take node 3 in the process, because Nod is just winning now by 120 points. Yeah, it's nothing, but they also get all of their respective Tiberiums, which is very important. Also 3-2 node control to nod. Let's see what GDI can make of this. A few hammerheads. We didn't have any scorpions at this point to counter hammerheads with. I think we just sort of decided to ignore hammerheads, and in case any show up, we would just take them on with mantises. Of course, we didn't count with the fact that they would be bringing on so many air units to Node 3. Even a lonely hunter just hanging about. So we pretty much lost Node 3, but they cannot capture it because they don't have any ground units. So I would question the abundance of air units used. I wouldn't use so many air units because you just lose ground control, and I think that's more important because that's where the tib is, that's where nodes are. Not much I can say about this. Just, yeah, that's right, that's what I was going to say. Just pack up your crawler and get the hell out of there, because, I mean, Avengers cannot shoot air, so you're pretty safe there. Of course, if Incia's army wasn't idling like that, then VoD would actually have to make a run for it. Which I think he will do in a moment's time. A pretty good battle up here. Meanwhile, notice that Node 2 is being retaken by the Killas. Well played. And meanwhile, I was just hanging about, waiting for that tib drop, which will be coming in half a minute. Comes every 2 minutes. Green tib comes every minute. So you can actually time it pretty well. I really don't see Risen Monolith used that much, so I just found that amusing. Yep. Pretty well balanced army. Well, they mainly consist of hammerheads, but a few hunters as well. I would decommission this, you know. I wouldn't keep anyone alive below green health, but of course he repaired it, so what the hell am I talking about? Not much action at this point. I believe both teams were communicating at this point, just discussing further strategies, like what should happen, what we should do to counter whatever the killers can throw at us. So basically, once we reach tier 3, we will of course make the appropriate heavy units, well, a few heavy units anyway, or just spam them, doesn't really matter. And possible things that GDI can do in response, which the most logical answer to heavy units from GDI would be paladins, I think. I mean, personally, I highly favor paladins over any other counter GDI can use. I don't really like using titans because, well, they're ground units, so they're a bit slower. Well, no, to be honest, they're a lot slower than paladins. So just use paladins, like Book is using. Well done. And I just lost 2 scorpions. Badly played from me. I should have anticipated that. Shouldn't have given them that 12 points. Yep, Complex's army getting EMP'd. Unfortunately, we did not have enough sport points at this point, or did we? No, we didn't. We were missing 4. That was a pretty well placed sport power. all 6 armies colliding up down here. Seems the killers were using their support crawlers to spam engineers and hammerheads, which is a pretty good unit combination, I think. We were making ground units mainly. CnC, of course, being support, he was making a few tyrants, as we can see. He decommissioned all of his. God, what are they called? Mantises. Yep, he just decided to get out of there, and which was good because the killers just straight on steamrolled us off with one, which is, I think, what they should have done. They should have just systematically retaken the map with that united army. There's not much we could have done against them, to be honest. We didn't even have tier 3. I think. Yeah, my crawler is still tier 2, tier 2. So is CnC's, not to mention complex. Yep, pretty close decommission. I got lucky there, to be honest. Run, CnC, run. Or rather decommission. I would decommission. Yep, I'm microing your tyrants out of the way of the focus beam. Could be a good idea. I mean, it's slowly being ripped apart. Yeah, that's right. Well, with 60 health it survives, but for how long, that is the question. Not long, I can assure you. Meanwhile, at Node 5 being retaken by the killers, they are actually winning the game. They're controlling the nodes 4-1. We finally reached tier 3, which means I spam a few basilisks. Poor micro on my part. I really shouldn't have let that Avenger die, to be honest. Not sure how many support points we had at this point. I just had 10, 11, 12, so I must have just respawned as support. Of course, I wouldn't be using basilisks if it weren't for their status field ability, because the killers aren't using that many hammerheads anymore. Maybe 1 or 2, or 3 or 4 or 5, and yeah, that's about it. 6. But I decided to go with the basilisks because I really like them, and status field is once again invaluable if it is used properly, and I try to use it properly. I don't know. At this point, I remember asking my team what the killers could do to dominate us, because they would have actually lost against here. These two armies would have lost pretty easily, I think, to these basilisks and these scorpions, because I think I had marked of gain at this point, didn't I?
We'll need more command points.
We have insufficient command
32.
They've lost node 4.
Sport power.
We have insufficient
Points, so that comes a bit later in the game. Yeah, I know this game inside out. I mean, I played it after all. Yep, and pretty much this is what my teammates told me when I asked them what the killers could do. They're bringing on the paladins. Don't know how I didn't think of this a bit earlier, but as we see, more paladins are coming out, which are obviously a pain in the ass for these basilisks. They deal with them pretty hard, and even though basilisks tear through absolutely everything with Mark of Cain, without Mark of Cain, they are being torn through by the paladins. Of course, if you just feed the basilisks paladins one by one, then the paladins will lose. CnC also decided to go for some basilisks. I suppose also because of their awesome stasis field. And if I were pink, I would just retreat these guys, I don't know, back here somewhere and decommission them. Not to give us those few points as they are. Also, retreat your crawler. Please retreat your crawler. Reverse move it, I meant. Or not, you know, it's your decision. I mean, after all, yeah, I guess you're right. Who wants that extra 50% damage reduction? I think it's 50%. Anyway. Also, I don't really like the unit choices here. Yeah, that's a good choice. That was the thing I would have done to decommission it, and just change to support and spam. That's right, spam paladins, not titans, and certainly not mammoths. A few weeks ago, I just terribly lost the game because I rushed my mammoths into an army of leviathans. That was not cool. Which was a pretty good game. I think I uploaded that too. It's like 2 versus 2. Anyway, Insia found himself in a bit of a pickle down here. He's fighting heavy with, I mean, anti-heavy with heavy, which is never a good combination. For Nord, I mean. Of course, Node 2 being retaken, Node 1 is taken. Still some decent tip collection going on from both sides. Node 4 taken by this crawler, and the killers are confined to their uplink towers on the sides, which is something I really disagree with, as well as this mammoth tank. It is not a good idea against basilisks, and well, he obviously wanted to counter these Avengers down here, but you know, I would just go for paladins anyway. I don't know. Yep, just reverse move it back. And what about this one? A blue tip is pretty important. It gives you 20 points. Which is like, I don't know, killing a mammoth tank while it's being decommissioned. God knows. Node 5 being neutralized. Of course, it cannot be captured because there are no ground units from Nord available. Can still be neutralized though, and then later captured with the crawler. And so can the other nodes. Nord making a comeback. This is pretty important, this uplink, because if the south side of the map will just be left unchecked, then a GDI crawler could just spawn down here and take nodes 2, 5, not to mention this blue tib. Of course, the tib gets less and less priority as the game advances, so at this point it's mainly about the nodes. This is interesting. book running his crawler into a bunch of basilisks, which put stasis field on it immediately, preventing it from deploying, and well, yeah. And I got myself screwed over because I ran my army into a wall of anti-heavy. Not very good on my part. I was trying to use my stasis fields to the best I could, but and I think I also used a Mark of Cain. And there it goes from CnC, I think. But these basilisks are half dead, so there's not much we can do. They can do against some of these units here. I mean, they still get destroyed despite the Mark of Cain, which is interesting because you don't see that very often. When you see Mark of Cain going down, it's like, you know, GG, just rage quit, whatever. Nah, kidding, never rage quit. Node 3 being retaken, Complex making stealth tanks to counter the Paladins. Of course, we could not see that the Paladins were gone at this point, and it was mainly just Thunderheads. Poorly played. If I had stasis field, I should have just put it on that Basilisk and decommissioned it there. Would have saved 10 points, which is a lot. Now we can see that GDI was winning there for a moment. They're ahead by 200 points, which is a lot if it comes down this late to the game. So it's going to be a close finish. Although we control 3 out of 5 nodes, not for long though, because the killers will be taking node 5, but we will be taking node 2. Node 4 will be taken by the killers. Node 3 rules unchallenged. I mean, we rule unchallenged. Whatever. This uplink still uncontested. Node 1 ruled by the killers. Yeah, I would just decommission that. I mean, we'll just... Yeah. Interesting play. You just put them on hold fire stance, which is the H button, I believe, and they will just come here, capture the node, and the killers will not know, will not even know about it, that it's captured. Well, probably not know. In the heat of battle, even very good players tend to forget about just looking on their minimap and you know, analysing the situation. I believe there was a Mark of Cain going down here. That's why these guys were gone so easily. The Thunderheads should win on an even face-off against Basilisks, purely because of their increased range. But there it goes, Mark of Cain, killing the crawler as it is being decommissioned, which means 100 points for Nod, which might have been the 100 points to catch up with GDI. That's right. It is definitely a close game. And since this was a ladder game, I remember being nervous about it too. Like, I was a bit unhappy with the score, how close it was, and how it was going. I mean, the game was going good. I mean, you know, Nod was losing, but Nod had node majority, as well as, you know, a proper tier 3 army. Of course, so did GDI. I would go for paladins rather. I would almost never build thunderheads. Maybe a few times to mess around with, but I just prefer paladins over anything when it comes to anti-heavy as GDI, to be honest, because they're just so awesome. They're really fast, and they counter rocket type damage as well, like stealth tanks. It's why some people say that paladins are so overpowered, and they just, you know, they're better than the entire Nod support class. And also Thunderheads are heavy units, which means the Basilisks can kill them off pretty easily. And this is also true vice versa, but when you see that the enemy is using two two Basilisk armies, then you would need at least the equal number of Thunderheads, which would mean, you know, that if you don't have the time to build that, you would really have to go Paladins or something else. So Nod wins, well played by both sides. I think the killers should have been more aggressive. There was a point when all three of the crawlers, of the killers' crawlers, were confined to the sides. Like I think Walt and Pink were confined to the northern, that sort of uplink and turret thing, where they were just not even taking the nodes right adjacent to that. And Book was confined to the southern platform thingy. More mobility, and they could have actually won this. Yeah, and the end, of course. I mean, Paladins are the way to go, I think, but that's just a personal opinion of mine. And they should have won, I think, with correct play, constant harassment, and of course when we got beaten off from Node 1, they really should have kept up that pressure. They should have pushed on and just cleared the map. Of course they did at one point. They were winning with Node domination, but we managed to muster a comeback. So units killed, Nod killed way more units, which means more points. I actually prefer looking at the units killed lost ratio, which obviously favors Nod in this game, which really helped their victory as well. So anyway, I really hope you enjoyed this VoD, and I really hope to make a few more, you know, comment and I don't know, criticize, as long as you want constructive criticism. I always appreciate it. So thank you very much, good night or good morning or whatever, and I'm off. Laters.